All right. My name is Peter Hutterer, for those of you who don't know me yet. I'm just going to quickly talk about the X.Org Foundation and the current status of the various related things. So first of all, you're probably wondering, what is the X.Org Foundation? Here's it's said better than I could say it. That's from the actual website. You can get more info from there. But essentially, X.Org Foundation does things like sponsoring XDC, sponsoring Never-Ending Vacation of Code, which is the X.Org equivalent to Google Summer of Code, and a couple of other things. So we've got a board of directors of 8 directors, 4 of which change every year. The current list is Alan, Alex, who isn't here, Matt, Matthias, me, Stuart, Keith, and Martin. I'm the current secretary. Stuart is the current treasurer. So first of all, I had a look at the membership list. You should join if you're not a member yet, because it does give you access such as like travel sponsorship to conferences and stuff like that. We currently have around 78 members, if my tally was correct, which is a lot better than what we had a couple of years ago when we had, I think, I don't know how many, until we purged the actual membership list of all the people who weren't members for like 10 years. Still, 78. Most of you here should be members of the foundation, please. Again, you get access to a couple of things. Yeah, so much for the generic stuff. First of all, what do we do? Like this year, XDC, obviously. The X.Org Foundation sponsors that. You're all here, so you clearly see it's working. We're paying for the venue, various food-related items, and this year we had 4 travel sponsorships. One of which I think was to a Summer of Code student. So we are also involved with the Google Summer of Code. I'll get to that a bit later. As for sponsoring-wise, we still have a slab of money from years and years ago. So at the current rate we're going, we probably have at least 4 to 5 years of money left. So I don't think in all the time I've been involved with X we've ever had actual fundraising. That all still dates back from years and years and years ago. So we're still financially strong enough to do conferences for the foreseeable future. Next, the big topic, if you read that on Slashdot and various other sites, is we were a 501c3, which for the non-US people of us is the American tax code for a non-profit organization. What that means is, like, aside from us, we can't make a profit, which wasn't particularly difficult since we're just leaking money for years anyway. What it also means, like, donations, if we would collect some, which we don't, would be tax deductible for US citizens anyway, or US residents. So there was a bit of troubles with that. There's a bit of history involved with that. The decision to become a 501c3 was made in, I think, 2005-ish or 2004, somewhere around that time, when we were getting around, I think, 100 Ks in sponsorship every year. That has unsurprisingly stopped since, because we had enough money to justify, so we couldn't justify getting even more. So we still went through, over the course of a couple of years, we eventually got the 501c3 approved. So we're a non-official, not-for-profit organization in the US. Unfortunately, we lost that status about a month ago, as you probably read on the various news sites. We have that status back now again. Thanks to the Software Freedom Law Center, they've managed to reinstate that. We don't have the actual paperwork confirmation just yet. That's hopefully in transit. But we have confirmation that we are, despite everything you've read on the web, we're a not-for-profit again. Which means that if we would collect donations, you could tax deduct them, but we don't. Which brings us to the next topic, SPIinc.org. SPI is Software in the Public Interest, if you heard about that. Our main problem with the 501c3 is that it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work for people who are not really equipped to do that kind of work. None of us is a lawyer, none of us is an accountant. Some of us are even not US citizens, or don't even live in the US, which doesn't make it easier to comply with US tax codes. So one of the decisions we've made is that we want to join an umbrella organization such as SPI, and in fact yesterday we actually voted that if we were to join an umbrella organization, we would join SPI. Just to give you a short overview, the reason umbrella organizations exist is exactly to handle that type of issue we have, where you have a whole bunch of hackers, they have an organization, but they just can't keep up with the accounting, they can't keep up with the legalese, and so on and so forth. There's a whole bunch of umbrella organizations. Probably the most known SPI, Software Freedom Conservancy, and the Apache Foundation, for example. So we've had a look at a couple. We voted yesterday everyone voted for SPI. So what does it get us? It gets us, we still remain X.Org as a foundation, so nothing really changes for us. We essentially can just offload all the financial stuff and the legal stuff to the umbrella organization. SPI does take some money for that. For any donation that will be directed at us through the SPI donation setup, they will take 5% off it, which I think is a relatively fair exchange for all the hassle that we had with taxes and everything. Again, the reason why we're thinking is we became a 501c3 in a very different environment than what we have now. We were a lot bigger, we had a lot more money, we had a lot more stuff that we actually needed to worry about. Back then we could have probably paid for an accounting firm just to do the books. Right now there is no point for us to do that, and these organizations exist exactly for that reason. To give you a bit of more context, SPI also handles Debian, Arch Linux, LibreOffice, Drupal, and freedesktop.org, and a couple of other projects. So size-wise, we're sort of like somewhere in the middle. So we're not the smallest, we're not going to be the smallest project, we're not going to be the largest project. Having said all that, that decision isn't actually final yet. So what we did decide is, we did decide that SPI is the one we want to go for. We still have a couple of things to sort out first. Such as, for example, we're not quite sure yet if we actually need a membership vote on that. We need to go through the bylaws, which are by now also like 6 years old and no one's looked at them for that long. There is also a couple of other issues that we need to talk to the SFLC with, so to our council there, just to make sure everything is nice and dandy when we actually do that. But right now, of course, pointing at joining SPI. Any questions to that before I move on to the next? All right. Next point, financially again. Banks are a lot of fun, especially in America, apparently. We have all our money in a current HSBC account. HSBC apparently changed the rules on us and closed the account, so we can't access it right now. Well, I believe we can access it in some ways, but not in the standard ways, and it's all a bit complicated. So we are currently moving the bank, which is also in the process, so we're not going to be with HSBC for much longer, and I believe Bank of America is going to be the next try. Let's see how that goes. For anyone, for those of you who had travel sponsorship, we should be able to pay you without any further problems. So, last topic, Google Summer of Code. We did have a Summer of Code program this year again with 4 students. Unfortunately, one of them dropped out for external reasons. Essentially, he found he essentially started getting paid properly for the X.Org program. The other 3, I think, finished. I don't know when was the finishing date, yesterday-ish or something, or this week? This Friday, the upcoming one. Yeah, okay. So I hope the other 3 are about to finish. We actually have 2 mentors and 1 student here, so if you guys want to just have a quick 2-minute summary of what you did. David, do you want to? Yeah, of course, yeah. Keith has it. You want to pass the mic back? Yeah, Dave's was the render nodes.
Okay, so my student was working on reverse engineering performance counters on NVIDIA cards and implementing that in Mesa. And so he got the implementation for Fermi. He has been working on adding it to Tesla, but it's not done yet. And then he started working on, because there are many signals, or let's say many performance counters, I'll explain that tomorrow. but he started working on something else, and he's been making progress. The problem was that he had to use Windows to actually reverse engineer that, so it set him back a lot. But we have nice results, and I guess it's good.
Yeah, and Dylan Noblesmith was working on direct state access for Mesa. He sent a bunch of stuff out to the mailing list. I was a very non-attentive mentor this summer, so I should have gotten him to send a bunch of stuff out to the list for review much sooner than he did. So the code is. I don't know what's going to happen with it at this point. It doesn't seem like it was entirely a waste, no matter what, because he did do a lot of going through and figuring out what of that extension would apply to a core profile, which is the only place I think where we wanted it at all, and that in that kind of environment, because that excludes one kind of annoying driver that has some weird state management set up, it meant that we could just universally enable it, when the code actually lands. So. Yeah, I was pretty surprised to see the volume, because it didn't seem like it was going to be. Yeah, and that was kind of the problem, and I'm a big part to blame for that, for not pushing him to send his stuff out to the list and get other people to look at it. So that was my fault.
All right. Any more questions regarding sum of code? Alrighty. Yeah, you should join. More information about the foundation is on the website. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask. I don't really have anything more this time. All right. Thank you.